The Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad.
Yeah, yo, straight from the depths of Queens, leave you sleeping on the mezzanine like you Lincoln.
I don't know about you guys, but 2017 was a great year for video games. Not only the ones that were released, but ones that had been released prior as well. Black Ops 3, which was released in 2015, released their Zombies Chronicle, which was basically a love letter to the zombies community in their own words. And it contained 8 classic remastered Zombies maps, including Origins, Kino, and Ascension, just to name a few. Blizzard did the same thing with their game Overwatch, which released in 2016 and is still producing content to this day. Seasonal updates are being added every few months, which adds skins and occasionally a new map, and along with that, a few new heroes. First of which, we had Orisa. Orisa is a versatile tank which can be placed anywhere on the map and be helpful. Doomfist was another one of their heroes released in 2017 and was one of the most hyped new heroes to ever come out of Overwatch. And finally, Mora. Honestly, between you and I haven't played since before her introduction into the game, so I don't know much about her other than that she's a support character that had training from Master Roshi. But how could we look back on 2017 and not realize the games that were released? Fortnite brought a new take on the professional yet advancing genre of battle royales. Call of Duty World War II brought most of the older community back, welcoming them with their World War II and nostalgia that game's advertising was built on. But obviously, this video isn't about those games. Although great in their own right, don't even compare to my favorite game released in 2017, Zelda Breath of the Wild.
出る出るゼルダの伝説出る出る出る出るついに出るゴージャス今度の冒険リアル君もすぐに体験憎いでやんすね昆虫ショー高画質の謎解きアクション
What is going on, everybody? It is Nelly B here, and let me just first say that it wasn't my intention to make the first video a non-zombies video. It kinda just happened that way. But don't worry, I'm going to try and create an upload schedule where I provide one zombies video a week and another video the same week on something other than zombies. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Zelda Breath of the Wild. More like a breath of fresh air. Yep, okay, that is where I end this video. Peace out. But in all fairness, that statement of it being a breath of fresh air is very real for me, considering the basic requirements for a game up until I played Breath of the Wild were that it needed to have some form of online PvP mode with decent graphics like Call of Duty, or a really good story mode with preferably great graphics like Doom, or really any other Mario game. But up until this point, I haven't played a single Zelda game. Not Twilight, not Majora's Mask, not even Ocarina of Time, which rank considerably high for most people who've played these games. I was completely oblivious to what I was getting into. Sure, I saw gameplay and tons of videos on the lore and story of these games, but I just knew playing them was going to be way different than watching a 30-minute video on how the timelines split up, but some games can exist in both timelines at the same time. Trust me. If you haven't been following these games for at least the past 10 to 20 years, you will be hard-pressed to pick this stuff up in more than a considerable amount of YouTube videos. So like I said, completely oblivious. I try not to worry about the story too much going into it as to not take away from the raw gameplay experience. I soon realized that that was a mistake. Side quest after side quest building up in my menu, and for a person like me, all of that can be very overwhelming. Having so many tasks to complete in such a large area to cover, I thought this was going to be a really hard game to cover and experience. But that's fine, because I don't need to complete that one man's recipe in order to defeat Ganon and save Princess Zelda. But if I choose to go on that adventure, I can stumble on the way and find new recipes. Recipes that will regenerate all of my hearts, or all of my stamina, or protect me better from lightning attacks. This isn't a coincidence. The game is built to have many goals and journeys lead to a once unknown or unexplained gameplay feature, areas of the map, and missing parts of the story, which I will get into in a bit. The game is built in a way where it's meant to encourage you to explore and understand these features on your own. It's not meant to hold your hand as many of the current games do. It also does this in a way that isn't as difficult as most of the games that don't hold your hand and force you to figure things out yourself. This allows an experience truly your own. Loading up Breath of the Wild for the first time, you're greeted by a voice that will later be known as Princess Zelda. Zelda instructs you to wake up and find the Sheikah Slate, a tablet-like device that will allow you to traverse and identify new areas of the map. You're given an outfit just outside of the starting room and are instructed to leave the cave. And after that, it's your story. You decide where you go, what you do, and how you travel, and the progression you make inside the confines of the game itself, which we've already stated is massive. Other than the fact that you aren't allowed to choose whether or not you're a hero, the world is yours to explore, and what a world it is. Arguably, some of my biggest concerns with Breath of the Wild are the mechanics. Fighting isn't a big concern, seeing as every single enemy you encounter can be given a recognizable attack pattern, allowing you to block an attack at just the right times as you take no damage. The various ways you can travel Hyrule are what get to me the most. Running, gliding, and even climbing are as simple as don't let your stamina run out and you're good. But when it comes to swimming or horseback riding, I have a problem. You see, when you swim in Breath of the Wild, it's not smooth. You're forced to make strides in one direction without being able to change the direction mid-stride. This makes swimming in Breath of the Wild unfavorable. I find myself a lot of the times in the middle of an enemy's arrows or projectiles, and without the ability to maneuver in the water similarly to on land, I find myself taking too much damage and eventually dying in spots because of the urgency needing to exit the situation, and the mechanics just don't work for that. But there's only one thing that frustrates me more than swimming, and that's horseback riding. Don't get me wrong, it's a very cool concept. Sneak up on an unsuspecting horse, tame that horse, bring it to a stable, and it's yours. But what the game mentions very briefly is that the horses, if treated improperly, will sometimes choose what direction they go in, and this annoys me to no end. Oftentimes I can find myself horseback in the mountains, trying to guide my unwilling horse down a narrow path of rocks with it just refusing to move. I can't explain enough how much this bothers me, but when looking at the game as a whole, it's a much minor problem than I see it as it is. Just don't ride a horse. The motion-controlled shrines are few and far between, but much less of a bother than the horseback riding. That is essential for areas of the map with seemingly no end. One last mechanic I think stands out from any other Zelda game are the breakable items. Everything other than your armor runs out. Potions, weapons, shield, and even bows break eventually, forcing the character to choose the most valuable weapons to keep. Holding on to them for 5 minutes is as common as holding on to one for hours. This isn't ideal for the type of game Breath of the Wild is, but it works. You're presented new and creative weapons and items that are made more valuable due to the fact that they will run out. They are finite and will eventually break, allowing you to discover and be open to new and even more creative weaponry.
Whoa! Toasty!
Now, like I said before, if you're a brand new player to the series, you are in for an experience. The lore, creatures, landscape, and character development are a big part of the game whether you choose to ignore them or not. To briefly sum it up, you are Link, a Hylian warrior who has been put to rest for 100 years in order to wake again, defeat Ganon, and save Hyrule. In order to do this, you have to traverse the area and search for weapons, armor, shrines, and 4 divine beasts that have been consumed by Ganon's power. Shrines are what some would compare to the older games as dungeons, just a lot smaller. In these shrines, you're tasked with puzzles and tasks to get to the end, some much harder than others. After completing at least 4, you're able to add stamina and heart containers to your character by praying to the goddess statue. The most common one is located in the Great Plateau, but they can be found in every settlement in Hyrule. The settlements in Hyrule contain the 4 divine beasts. Before defeating Ganon, you must help the natives of that area release the area-specific divine beast from his control. During the journey, you meet a plethora of characters that aren't just treated as plot devices. Their backstories and problems have a sense of development, which is fitting, seeing as the story includes flashbacks containing characters you just met, instantly creating a connection between you and that character. Again, all of this is unnecessary. You can have a fun time in Breath of the Wild by just exploring. The side quests are enough to keep most entertained and, for all in all, add to the amazing experience. I wanted to give art its own portion of the video because, to me, that's exactly what Breath of the Wild is. The cel-shaded design is obviously inspired by another Zelda game, Wind Waker. The style alone says it all with as much detail as possible. Yes, you're in a game, a Nintendo game at that. It's supposed to be fun and inviting for all ages. Younger people will embrace the cartoonish design while the older players will experience it. Yes, I know the Switch isn't as graphically capable as most systems out right now, but the cel shading design allows for beautiful, vast areas in which players can screenshot and make their backgrounds on PC. It doesn't stop there though. The story is simple yet interesting enough for anybody who might get their hands on it. An interesting story, characters, and design make this game one of my favorite of all time, and I'm not even halfway done. I still need to pull the Master Sword from the ground, explore 3 divine beasts, and take out Ganon. I have a long road ahead of me, and I'm ready to experience everything this game has to offer. It's not just something I enjoy, it's a product that has opened my interest to games other than the first-person shooters like Call of Duty. I'm not done with these games by a long shot, but I do have my eye on a few different games now as well. If you guys haven't played Breath of the Wild and have a Switch, definitely consider that. It's a game that will be remembered as many of us grow older and the genre becomes saturated. We will be able to say that we were there from the start. The start of a masterpiece and the reintroduction to gamers who had either doubted Nintendo, Zeldas, or RPGs in general. Zelda Breath of the Wild is my favorite game from 2017, pushing the Switch into one of my favorite consoles ever. For those of you who have actually played the game, let me know how it was down in the comments below. Did you like it? Was it good? Was it great? Was it bad? Did it make you hate Zelda or even Nintendo itself? Personally, I loved the game. It was, yes, even a breath of fresh air for someone like myself who's been in gaming but hasn't really experienced this kind of genre before. Anyways, guys, that is going to be it for the video. If you did enjoy this new sort of essay video type style, make sure to leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. More videos coming this month and this year, and I'm trying to start it off right. I'm trying to start it off with a banger, and oh god, I hate calling it a video. I feel like I'm in phase. But anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the video.